Thanks, guys. I'm an addict named Danny. And it's real good to be here. And it's real good to be a part of this fellowship. It's a blessing that we made it here. All of us. So if you're here, you're really blessed. Because a lot of us don't get to make it here. And I've been very fortunate to be a part of this for a while. And I get so much more out of it than I ever thought I would. Like I didn't know. I came here like everybody else. I wanted to stop using. And drugs were, well, let me say this. I suffer from the disease of addiction. And drugs are only a symptom of my disease. I was, when it came to using, it's a bit of a punk. And I didn't like, I love getting high. I didn't like the price of getting high. I didn't like that. You know what I mean? But I got high to deal with me because I didn't know how to deal with life. I did not, I wasn't okay with me. So I got high to give me confidence, to like Coke and alcohol, Coke and booze. Like I would have the courage to feel okay. I could talk to someone. I could look at people. I had all of this false courage, but false image, but false. Because I didn't know, who I was. Didn't know who I wanted to be. I mean, I had some inkling, of it, but I didn't know how to do those things, And I grew up, I grew up in Norfolk, Virginia, and I didn't grow up in this area, And I came to Atlantic City with the clothes on my back, So I started here from the bottom. I didn't have anything when I got here, nothing. I didn't know anybody, Me and my brother, we came in on a Greyhound, and for whatever reasons. I fully don't understand that. I stayed because he kept running, but I stayed, And I started to make a life here, And I started to, I started working in the casinos, and there was a lot of drugs, and there was a lot of alcohol, and it was socially acceptable at that time. Coke was very normal. And I was this insecure kid, didn't know how to be, So, and some of the people that I was looking up to were doing they were doing these drugs. They was going to the bar after work. They was doing a line in the bathroom. They were, they was doing this stuff. So, I started doing this stuff, and it was fun for a while. No, it really was. It was fun. It wasn't all, it was fun for a while, but it got old, and it got old fast, and like I said, I didn't like the consequences. That was a guy that I worked with, and I watched him get clean. And the guy, he was the poster child of what not to be. And I watched this guy get clean. And he came here. He came to Narcotics Anonymous, and he got clean. And like to speed it up, to get to the point, it became my turn, And when it became my turn to get clean, I thought of him. I saw the change in him. And I wanted that change, I didn't know all that came with that change. Like we don't know all that comes with in here. We all come in here because we're hurting and we want to stop hurting. We don't want to feel that pain anymore, you know. But I didn't know everything that came with it. And so much came with it, you know. So I started coming to meetings, and like I said, I just wanted to stop using. I just didn't want to feel that pain. And my process of recovery was very slow, because one of the hows of the program is honesty. And I did not like the truth. I liked fantasy.
Come on.
You know, I didn't know the truth. I did a lot of lying to myself. Most of the misinformation we're talking about getting, I gave myself a lot of misinformation. You know, everything my parents didn't tell me, I filled in the blank. I filled in the blank. I'm the one that's told myself, well, I must not be smart because they're not telling me I'm smart. I must not be this because they're not telling me I'm this. You know, when I was a kid, I was light skinned with freckles. Got picked on. I got older, I became dark skinned. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, I had red hair. I really had red hair. I have no hair now. I had red hair. You know, white kid, inner city, Norfolk, Virginia, red hair. You get picked on. I got picked on by my brothers more than anybody. You know, and one of the tragedies in my life, I had two brothers that I lost. You know, and directly and indirectly because of the disease of addiction. You know, and I know I'm going to jump around a little bit, but hopefully I give you enough, because I like sharing, because I get to share me and I get to open up, and I'm closed. I don't want to be open. You know, that's how my sickness. You know, that keeps me sick. You know what I mean? And you come in here and we encourage each other. You know, sometimes we nudge each other to open up. Sometimes we push each other. You know, open up. You know, find out who you are. Because I didn't know. You know what I mean? And, so I came and I accumulated some time. Because the not using part was kind of easy. Because I like not using. One, I like money. I like money. So I started to have money. By not using it. Just putting the drugs down. So I like that. But I didn't know how to change the habits. I got married. Didn't know how to be a husband. Didn't talk to anybody about being a husband. Didn't ask anybody. Couldn't ask any of my brothers. They didn't know shit. They had, one was gay, but the other one was had kids around the world, stuck in his addiction. My father was already gone. So I didn't know how to be a husband. So I got married. So I did the same thing that I did. I cheated, ran around. I remember hitting on especially when I was using, I remember hitting on my wife's best friend. And I remember if she had been with it, I would have been with it. That's how insecure I was. That's how needy I was. I was a needy person. I needed to be validated. I needed something to tell me I'm okay, because I don't feel okay. So this is the person that I was. And the change is gradual, because number one, you gotta want to change. Right. You gotta see it for what it is. And for a long time, I'm good at lying to myself. I can disguise shit. We tell ourselves stuff. Oh, you gotta have more than one woman. You gotta have this. I would never tell my wife how much money I had or how much I made. I'm sure she knew. You know, women, they got their whole other thing. They got more resources than we freaking think about. But I would never tell her about how much, you know, what I had, what my counselors and all of that stuff. Because I was just used to, like, that's how I thought. You know, and one of the most important things we have to do, we have to change our thinking. You know, if I thought something, it was right. What? It was just right. And that's far from the truth. That is so far from the truth. I was so off on a lot of stuff. But we come in here and we learn. And we start looking for people that can help us to grow. And that's a process. You know, it didn't happen when I had 5, 6, 7, 8 years clean. Did not happen. I'm still doing stuff. You know, I did it a little less and a little less and a little less. You know what I mean? I didn't stop reading it. It took me forever to quit smoking. I smoked for probably the first 15 years I was clean. So a lot of my change was very, very gradual. You know, but that's the most important thing. That's why it's to keep coming. That's why they say, make your mistakes in here. You know, keep coming. Don't use no matter what, because the miracle would happen. It will happen for you. You get spiritual awakenings as you move along. You know, you get these aha moments. You know, just you feel different about something that you're doing. And that's what started to happen. I started to feel different about it. You know what I mean? I started to want to be a good husband. I watch guys, and not just in here, because I watch people, because I worked in the casino, and in the casino, it's a very close, whether you like each other or not, it's very close knit. You know what I mean? Because everybody's there. And you kind of know and you listen to what everybody's going on, everybody. But I started watching the guys that were good fathers. I started watching the guys that were good husbands. Because before I watched the guys that was cheating. Oh, he got a chick. Oh, he's hitting that. Damn, he's a bad guy. This is who I want to be like. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I started watching the guys that were, you know, coming home, had their family, putting all of their energy into their family. All of it. Don't leave nothing on the table. Those are the people I started to gravitate toward. Those are the people that I started saying, damn, can I do that? I want to live like that. And it did not happen like that. It took, because once again, I'm not good with honesty. So it took, you know, I just kept striving, you know. I've had 2 sponsors since I've been here. And I switched sponsors because I need somebody that was spiritual. That was talking about spiritual life. I need somebody that was married and had children and that was involved in that. And this person that I picked he was committed. You know, he was that example. All of his energy went to service, family, you know, work. That's what his energy went into. And that's the type of person that I wanted to be. And like I said, it is a true process, you know, because one, like I said, I'm not honest, you know. So, you have to start revealing yourself to yourself. You have to start letting people know who you really are. You have to start talking about some things. You have to start getting some of that acceptance, you know, for who you really are, you know. And you have to start looking at who do I want to be? You know what I mean? It was the big question was, what do I want to be for a long time? Still haven't figured that out. But I know who I want to be. You know? And I started to, you know, do some change. And it's hard. I have one one difficult child. He doesn't think he's difficult, but he's a difficult child. And my wife is a wonderful woman, but she can be difficult. And I don't mean it like, I know that maybe sounds a certain way, but I mean she has her issues, she has her stuff. She has stuff going on in her life. She has stuff that she went on in her childhood that she, so she, and God put me in her life, So I'm there to help her with that. And I have to get out of the self-centeredness. I don't want to get out of the self-centeredness. F that. It's me. It's about me. How am I feeling? How am I doing? How am I looking? That's my disease. My disease is me. It's me. My biggest obsession is me. I haven't did drugs in a long time. I went through this period of time where I really thought I wanted to smoke some pot. Because it was coming up with some crazy shit. Damn, I might want to try that. I had that thought. Because again, I'm probably so thinking. Well, not probably so I react to my thinking. But I had those thoughts. And I was honest about it. I didn't keep them a secret. I talked about it. And this thing started to go away. I don't think about that anymore. Because we got dispensaries everywhere. And my brother lives in Atlantic City, and where he lives at, there's a dispensary. And it's popping. They're in and out of there. Us, we're addict. That's where the good shit is at. That's where it's at, right there. And I had family members that was doing gummies. Well, what do you call it? Gummies? Gummies, right? Yeah, that's why I asked. But they would do, and I kind of like went through this phase where I was kind of like curious about it. But thank God that, I was open about it and talked about it. And, none of that, it didn't mature. It went away. You know what I mean? I didn't have to act on it, But, this is a spiritual program, and one of the hows is willingness. You have to become very, very willing. And second step, open-mindedness. You have to listen, and you have to listen to people that you don't want to listen to sometimes. You know what I mean? And I start like I have a job, and I was working with someone, and I started to say they were teaching me some things, and I didn't like the way they were teaching. But what it was is they were teaching me because they were so detailed. I don't want all the freaking. I don't want the detail. I want that, and that. You know what I mean? And I kind of learned that I had to, all of those details they were giving me, I needed. And I had to go back to that. And so I had to practice some open-mindedness and learn to listen to people when I don't want to listen to them. I have to, my ideas, I'm not locked in on a lot of things anymore. My ideas, they change. My thoughts, they change. I'm not fixed. I used to lock in on a fixed idea. This is what's going to make me happy. This is what's going to, I'm happy. What's it about? This is what's going to make me feel good. Now it's about happiness. Now it's about enjoying life. Now it's about giving. It's about caring. It's about sharing. But before, it was all about what is going to make me feel good. And if the drugs had to continue to make me feel good, I probably would have continued to use it. But they didn't continue. It didn't continue to make me feel good. So it changes. it's like, it just, the more you put into this here, the more you're going to get out of this. And I cannot say this often enough. Because I have had shit a lot. You know. I've come to the conclusion that I'm a very capable person. You know. And that if I put more effort into some things, I can get more out of it. You know, I learned to put more effort in my relationship, you know, in my marriage. I commit to my marriage now, like commit. And that's not easy for me because once again, I'm that self-centered person. You know. But I persevere through those thoughts. You know. And I enjoy my life. I have a very enjoyable life. I have a very peaceful life. I treasure peace. I do not like chaos. I do not like confusion. I don't like a whole lot of nonsense. You know, I don't get involved with a whole lot of nonsense. You know? And you guys give me the courage to do that. We feed off each other. You know, we really do. We feed each other. We feed each other's spirit. This is a very, very loving process. Very loving process. You know. And that's very important, you know, for us. You know, there was a part of my childhood that I buried, and it's been resurfaced back up to me, and I kind of realized that I had to talk to someone about it. You know, I have to share it, with someone, so I can get some freedom, and I can get some more understanding of me. Because it's until I share something, it's just kind of like noise bouncing around in my head, and I'm the source of most of my misinformation. So I cannot thank this program enough, and I never thought I kind of thought it was something I would have to tolerate. I'm not even sure what I really thought about it, in the beginning, in the initial stages of it. It just kept growing on me. It just kept growing. And then they said that stuff, it gets greater later. And it does. Because you start to feel so much joy. Your spirit grows. You find that it's okay to be you. And it's okay to improve yourself. In ways that you feel that you need to improve yourself. I need to improve myself in areas. I need to get more organized. I need to eat a little more healthier. I need to pay more attention to my wife. I need to I have a daughter, and I'm more connected to my daughter than I am my son. And I never thought it would be like that. I automatically thought I'd be more connected to my son. Because he's a boy. But my daughter, we connect. I can send her little things in the morning, because she's had some odd relationships, and I try to kind of keep her encouraged and be the father or the man in her life that, that's constantly encouraging her, and send her a little message of love, so she know that she's loved, that's the important stuff in my life today, sharing my love with them,
That's the important.
Sharing my love with you guys. Being open with you guys. Giving something back. You know. Because I'm, once again, selfish. Selfish with my time. You know. But I'm getting better with that. You know, I don't mind giving my time today. You know, I participate in my recovery. I try to participate in other people's recovery. You know, this what we have is really a gift, man. So if you made it here, man, please stay. It's worth it. It really is. It's a rewarding, awesome way to live. You know. Thanks for letting me share.